How's it going, Humble Hands fam? Robert here, and today we're working on a 2021 Buick Encore GX that has the P0299 under boost condition. First thing that you're going to want to do is smoke test, make sure, and I honestly would say from this side, there's a little bolt right here on the side of this, right there. You'll undo that, that'll give you more swing where you can disconnect that tube from the turbo side. And then I would smoke test from here, because what you really want to test is if the intercooler has a boost leak before it come into the throttle. The entry points for the PCV, not so great, and this really doesn't go anywhere. The throttle, if you go through the intake, it won't really make it through the turbo side. So I found the best way to do it to actually test for what would be a boost leak is right from right here. You can do it from the other side of this connector, so you make sure there's no hole in that too, but you're already there. Okay, to check that you're making sure you're getting smoke, pull this guy and you'll see smoke. Secondly, to get to the turbo is really not that hard. It's only 4, 5, maybe 6, 7 bolts. Let's go to the turbo side. All right, so this is the way that the turbo is orientated. And there's a couple things that you're gonna have to disconnect in order to get this turbo off pretty easily. One, spray these bolts 1, 2, 3, 4 on the back with some PB, and then let those sit for a second. You're gonna have this guy right here, which is your oil feed line. It's gonna be that guy right there on top. And it's gonna have a T-crush washer. You're gonna wanna go ahead and replace that. That gets a couple bucks from the dealership. Also that oil return line, you're gonna wanna get that gasket as well. There's also gonna be a gasket with the turbo itself, this little guy right there. And then there's another one on the back of the engine, which is riveted on if you want to replace that one too. All right, those are the things that you're going to kind of need to loosen up before you take off this turbo. This guy, it has a special band clip that is similar to this one that you're going to need to cut off in order to remove. This will not be supplied with your new turbo. This, and the diaphragm will. So you don't have to worry about that. You're gonna have 2 8mm bolts on the bottom, which is gonna be this guy, and they're gonna come completely out. And there's nothing that goes inside there, so it's flush. It's gonna disconnect very nicely. Coolant line right here, and a coolant line right there. You can go ahead and pinch off the coolant line here, and then down below, you can pinch it off right there when you're pulling that one off. And once you have these bolts loosened, this bolt's taken out, this disconnected, this vacuum line disconnected, this one cut off on this side, disconnect the intake, unplug, and then I think there's another unplug here. And then once you do that, you're gonna see that the turbo will want to come out, but it won't. What's gonna happen there is you need to uninstall this bolt right here, uninstall this bolt here. That's from taking off the cover that's covering this all, which the cover is 1 bolt, 2 bolt oxygen sensor, 3 bolts, 4 bolts. Now this bottom bolt is gonna be a stud. So you'll take off this nut right here, and then you'll remove the stud. When you remove the stud, then you can get it over the oxygen sensor and it'll come out nice and easy. If you don't remove that stud, you're never gonna get it out unless you bend and break this thing really bad. You don't wanna do that. On the catalytic converter, you don't have to take it off. You just take off this bolt right here that's mounting the catalytic converter to the engine there. Let's go underneath. There's gonna be a bolt right there for the catalytic converter. You're just going to loosen that one so you can have a little more play. And then there's going to be another bolt right there. And you're going to take that one out so you can go ahead and have some play with the catalytic converter. Once you get that out, then you take off your 4 bolts right there. And literally the rest is easy peasy. That's it. That's all that's really mounting it up there. So once you do all that, turbo comes out easily. Rinse, repeat, and reverse. You're all done. Then you're going to need to do a relearn on the throttle and call it a good day. Let me show you what happened to the turbo. So on this one right here, this little line, This is kind of a new clip. I haven't seen this one before. So let me tell you how that works. There's also one right here. And one side has like a little green tab and the other side is flush. You're going to push in on the top side, which will release that, which is kind of cool, but it's just a new thing I had to figure out. You're gonna really want to get yourself ahead of is this clamp right here, which is connected to the turbo with the same kind of clamp. And it is a pinched together one, so you're not getting that apart. I had to use some directional cutters to get through to that. But now that's off. And also you gotta be careful because this is plastic, so you can't just be cranking on that thing because you'll break the PCV inlet tube. So be very careful when you're cutting this, and just take your time with it. It'll come off. So we're gonna use my PES IKO kit that I got from Amazon. I'm actually sponsored by these guys, so if you buy this tool, I actually get a kickback. Not very much, but hey, everything helps. Stay humble, right? So we're gonna go ahead and build up pressure here. All right, so I've got this at about 7, and I've maxed out the diaphragm for the most part. I can't really push it in anymore. And look how open that wastegate is. There's so much more room, and it's binding because it was allowed to wiggle a little bit. But why did this happen? So we look over here at the turbo wastegate lever, and we've got huge amounts of play. If you look at this side, you see a good bunch of meat right there. It's a pretty big hole. This is really hard to see, but if you look at this side, look at how thin the metal got there. See how thin that got? I wish I could take this off, but these bolts are crazy tight. So we've got the diaphragm maxed out. There's really no much more that's gonna go in. And here, because of this loose lever arm right here, not only are we not able to get flush to close that bypass port for this wastegate, but all that turbo spool that's supposed to be happening isn't happening because it's all just going out the exhaust, flowing out, no problem, just going straight out the hole. That's terrible.